Hey guys, this is Eddie the Magic Monk. Welcome to another technology tutorial. Recently I found something called Microsoft Robotics, which I think has been around for a couple of years from what I've read. But on YouTube, I don't think that I've seen a video tutorial that helps you to get started on it. So it took me quite a while reading documentation from the Microsoft website in order to get it going. So I thought I would try to make it easier for everyone and make a video on how I got started with it. And I'm by no means a pro just yet, but I'm pretty excited to share what I have found with you guys. So what is Microsoft Robotics? Well, basically, it's a program that you can use to learn about robotics and program a robot without any special robotics equipment. So if you guys are familiar with robotics, basically you need to buy a whole heap of equipment. Usually people buy beginner robotics kit from Lego Mindstorms that can cost a few $100s, and after you buy the robotics kit, then you can assemble a robot and then you can program it. Whereas with Microsoft Robotics, you can pretty much skip the robot building stage and get started with programming a robot straight away. So what happens is you program your robot and then you can simulate running your robot in a virtual environment, such as a home on your computer. So it's sort of like playing a computer game, except you are programming the robot yourself. So it's pretty cool. Now, to get started with Microsoft Robotics, there are a couple of things you need to download. Actually, quite a few things, and this took me a while to download. Basically, instead of reading a whole bunch of stuff on how to install it, I've just listed the things you need to download, and you can pretty much just Google each one of these and download them separately and install them in this order. And hopefully, if you're trying to get into robotics, you should be okay with finding something and downloading it and installing it and clicking the next button 2 million times to get it installed. So make sure you download and install these 4 things in this order, and probably take you a couple of hours to get this done. Most of the downloads are at least a few hundred megabytes, except the Silverlight 4.0 SDK. That's only about 15 megabytes. So make sure you download all of these things and install them. And you can also go to this page if you can't be bothered looking for the links yourself. So make sure you get all of these installed and then come back when you're done. Okay, so after you have installed everything, you should click on the start button and be able to see that you have a menu called Microsoft Robotics Developer Studio 4. And you're going to click on this button here, Build All Samples. And what that happens is it allows the program to set up some sample robots that come with some sample programs that come with the software. So click that, and you probably have to wait for a few minutes for it to all get built. So make sure you do that and then come back when you're done. Okay, so once you have built all the samples, I want you to go back to the start menu and then click on Microsoft Robotics Developer Studio 4, then click on Visual Simulation Environment 4. And what that does is it'll bring up a list of environments that you can simulate running a robot in. And I want you to click on Reference Platform 2011. So click on that and you'll see what happened. So it should bring up this Microsoft Visual Simulation Environment 4, and you can see that you're inside an apartment with your robot, but there's nothing you can do to it except if you press the up, down, left, right arrow keys, you can move around in your apartment, but you can't actually move the robot. You can use your left mouse button to drag around and walk around the apartment. So it's a pretty nice apartment, but there is no way for you to move your robot around. And this webcam view and the depth cam view, that simulates what your robot can see with their Connect sensor, but or with their webcam or whatever it is. But we haven't programmed to move this robot around. So that is the next step of what we're going to do. So what I want you to do now is close down this Microsoft Visual Simulation. So click the cross, close it all down. And then the next step is we're going to go back to our start menu, and this time go to Microsoft Robotics Developer Studio 4 and click on Visual Programming Language 4. And this is where we're going to start programming the robot. Now, for those of us who are already familiar with it, actually, if you were, you probably wouldn't be watching this video, but this is the program that we're trying to construct. So don't worry too much about how to do it yet. We're going to show you step by step. Okay, so this is the Microsoft Visual Programming Language, which is used to program your robot. So to begin, go to File and click New, and that's going to make sure that we create a new application. And then the next thing we're going to do is drag the direction dialog from your services menu, which is from here. So you can even just type in find service, type in direction dialog, and then we're going to click on the first one at the top that says user bracket direction dialog. Drag that onto our diagram. And basically this direction dialog is just going to be a pop-up menu that appears on the screen that's going to have a few buttons we can click on. Okay, the next thing you want to do is get the calculate block and drag that onto the screen. So drag this onto the screen. I'm just going to put it just below the user direction dialog. So anytime you're not sure about what a block does, you can just move your mouse over it like so, and it'll show you what it means. So basically the direction dialog, it'll display a window dialog with 5 buttons on it for direction control. And then the calculate block simply calculates, basically it retrieves the name of the button you've just pressed. So we're going to type in name, and then you're going to connect the notification icon to this arrow here. And then you're going to pick button press, and you're just going to click OK. So now it says user button press, and it's got a link to calculate. And basically all it means is that we're going to get the name of the button that the user has pressed. Okay, the next thing we want is a switch block, a switch activity, and basically that the switch block allows us to conduct different actions based on the button that the user has pressed. So here are a few options. So press the quotation mark. There's the stop button. There is the forwards button. So make sure you type in the quotation marks and press the plus button every time you've typed something in. So backwards. Make sure you don't spell anything wrong. So we have left and right. Oops. Okay, what you want to do now is join up the calculate block to the switch block. So we're going to retrieve whatever the user has pressed, the name of the button, and based on whether based on which button the user has pressed, we're gonna link onto different blocks or conduct different action or activities. So I'm gonna drag 7 data blocks onto the screen. So just keep dragging the data blocks onto the screen. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And what you're gonna have to do is change every single block to double, right? Because we're going to put in some decimal numbers in there, and these are the numbers I want you to put in. The first one is 0.0, the second one is 0.8, the third one is negative 0.8, the fourth one is negative 0.6. Oops, the keyboard got stuck. Negative 0.6, and then we have positive 0.6, and then we have 0.6 and negative 0.6. Okay, so once you have done that, then we also need and then we need to join the switch statement to these data blocks. So the first stop, we're gonna join up to 0, 0. Oops. So make sure you join it up. Forwards, we're gonna join up to 0.8. Backwards, we join up to negative 0.8. So you can see that this is pretty much just the speed that we're going to move the robot at. So if it says stop, we're gonna change the speed to 0, and so on. So left, we're going to link it to negative 0.6 and positive 0.6. So they both relate to left, and right is going to be 0.6 and negative 0.6. So link it all up like so. Then we need another block called the join. So the join block, and we're going to link up this data to the first part of it and the second data block to the bottom part of it. And I'm going to type on the top part left and on the bottom part right. And basically it's because both of these things relate to moving left or right. And then the second join block, we have the top one going to left and the bottom one linking to Control Z if you do something wrong. So the top one is left and the bottom one is right. Okay, and then we're going to have a merge block, and you can, if you're not sure what it means, just move your mouse on top of it. And basically this is just the first tutorial that we're gonna use to get a robot working, so we will talk about what these mean later on. So basically we have merge, we're gonna merge these two together, and the next thing we're gonna do is drag the last two blocks onto the screen, which is called generic differential drive. And you might have to look down to find it somewhere. So basically it's here, generic differential drive. Drag that on twice. And it might come up with, this project already includes an instance, add a new activity, okay. So now we have two of these. Drag the merge block to the generic differential drive, and then choose set drive power, set drive power, okay. And then choose value and value for the left wheel power and right wheel power. So basically what's going to happen is if the user presses stop, both the left wheel and the right wheel powers will be 0. If they press forward, then both left wheel and right wheel is going to be 0.8. If they press backward, both left and right wheel is going to be negative 0.8. Okay, so click OK, and then we're going to do the same thing here. Drag this merge block to the generic differential drive, and then we're going to have set drive power. So before, when I said we were changing the speed, I was wrong. We're changing the power of the wheels. Set drive power, and we're going to change, actually we don't have to change anything, it's already been done. So the left wheel power is going to be the left value, and the right wheel power is going to be the right value. Okay, so click OK, and then the last thing we want to do is decide on how we want to simulate running the robot. So right click on generic differential drive and click on set configuration, and then click on use a manifest, and then we're going to click on use import manifests, and we're going to choose our robot that we saw a simulation of previously, which was the reference platform 2011 simulation manifest. So click on that, and do the same thing with the other generic differential drive. So user manifest, the 2011 reference platform. So now that you've done all of this, you should be able to click the start button and it should run the program. So make sure you save the program just wherever you want. So I'm just going to save it as application 2 in my documents. Doesn't really matter where you save it. And now it's trying to run the program, connecting to DSS, starting runtime. Just let it do all of that. And so now it's bringing up the visual simulation environment with the robot inside your apartment. And it'll also have a direction dialog that you can use to move the robot around, and you can also see the view of the robot from this window. So I'm moving it around, moving it forward, moving it back. So forward to the right, forward to the left, stop. Okay guys, thanks for watching this tutorial on how to get started with Microsoft Robotics. Hope you had fun doing this. See you again next time.